Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 4. Where do I start? How long have we got? Let's get into it. Up the Villa. Hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast. If you are new to this channel, subscribe, drop this video a like and get in the comments on how you feel like Villa performed against West Ham and what your general vibe is. Be sure to check out our fan cam. It was pretty good, really, to be fair. It's worth a watch, to be fair. Even I'll say it's worth a watch. I know some of you might not want to go back and relive some of our thoughts, but it's definitely worth a watch. So be sure to check that out as well and drop that a like. And again, it'll just help our channel grow. So I hate coming on here and being really negative. I'm not one of those YouTube channels that just do it for clicks and will just say things out of place just so the channel can grow. Or I like us to be level-headed, very positive. But unfortunately, you've just got to comment on what you see, haven't you? And at the minute, it's not great. We've got 38 points from 39 games, which it's not just this run of 4 losses, is it? There's a bigger picture here that for whatever reason, we're not playing as a team. We've got no style of play. We've got no identity. We as a fan base, we're going into games not having a clue on how we're going to play, how we're going to perform. So it's really shit, to be fair. It's not great. And I hate having to say that about us. I hate having to be negative, but there's just no way around it. So let's get stuck into it. Let's do a bit of a debrief on the game yesterday and offer my thoughts and offer yours in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're thinking, whether you do think it's time for Dino to go or you want to stick with him. So Dino's interview before the game: players win football matches, not systems. Now, I'm no tactical coach. I have got no coaching badges whatsoever. But if you're asking players to live off moments and do moments of brilliance as opposed to coaching them tactically on how to win a football match, then I'm sorry, that ain't good enough. That is not good enough for me. That is not the type of football that I've got a season ticket that I'm going to be there watching. I'm not watching us having to be on the back foot for 90 minutes hoping that Leon Bailey or Buendia or Danny Ings can pop up on that odd moment and just create a bit of magic. I don't pay my money to go and watch that. As a football fan, football is a form of entertainment. You go there for the love of your club to be entertained, and at the minute, that's not what we're seeing. We did a preview before the game and we spoke about everything that we wanted this team to show. We know we're struggling. We know we're not playing a great brand of football. But from the off, you want to see passion, commitment, dedication, fighting for the shirt and intensity. You want to be in and at West Ham. You don't want to allow them to settle. A reaction. We needed a reaction. We needed a reaction against Wolves. We didn't get it. We needed a reaction yesterday, and we didn't get it. And for me, if we can't react and we can't put in a shift and we can't put in a performance, then we are in a relegation battle, because to live off the odd moment and we're going to get battered against teams like West Ham, which we did. We got battered. And don't get me wrong, West Ham were in second gear by their standards. We spoke about the game. We spoke about how good Declan Rice is. We spoke about how good Souček is. We spoke about them as a system, as a unit, and how they play. And first 15 minutes, we didn't lay a glove on them. We did not lay a glove on them. And we all know what they posed as a threat. We know they're a good side. And the disappointing thing for me was for the first 15 minutes, there was no reaction. Dino, this is what he said after the game. We didn't start particularly well, per goal to concede. So we didn't start the game particularly well, but, I just don't get it. I don't get how that can be the case if we're playing as bad as we are. I want us to turn up and put that shift in from the first minute, and we didn't do it. We concede a goal, a sloppy goal, Target Bailey should have done better. Fair play, it was a good strike. Martinez probably could have done better. Dino said the response after that was okay. After that, we got our goal. But he also said the first 15 minutes we didn't play with enough verve, what was needed. Again, whose fault's that then? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the problem. There's no one that's taking the blame here, are they? There's too many fingers being pointed. It's nobody owning up and taking responsibility. I put a tweet out before the game. I thought fair play to Dino because he changed the system, which was what was needed, and he dropped Mings. Massive call. It takes balls to do that. It took a big decision to drop your captain. But unfortunately, it didn't work, did it? Because we didn't get a response what was needed. I thought Courtney House played okay. The two positives for me, well, three positives actually, I thought, on that football pitch yesterday. Nakamba, very solid, good game. I can't fault Nakamba really. I thought Matty Cash was showing bottle. He showed bottle. When he had that ball, he was trying to, he was cutting inside. He wasn't going for the easy option. So I thought Cash had a real good game. And I thought Ollie Watkins looked better. He looked more lively. He was pressing. He was harassing. And at times, he was putting them under pressure, which was obviously giving us the ball back basically, and it gave us a little bit more territory. So those three players, I thought we did okay. We got the goal and I thought, okay, let's kick on, let's get a bit of a foothold in the game. And it was like West Ham thought, okay, let's get back into our routine now, let's get back into our groove. And they did, and they were on the front foot again. Declan Rice just past the edge of the box, weren't he? A strike. Again, Martinez, could he have done better? It wasn't a crisp strike, was it, from Rice? But going in at half-time, 2-1 down, very disappointed again. Just with what we were trying to do, it was just flat again, weren't it? And you can tell we came up against a team with confidence and a team that just know what they're doing, and basically it looks like we don't. Straight after half-time, we were a little bit ragged, weren't we? You saw that from us trying to get the ball back. It was House giving that little bit of an elbow/arm. Could have seen red for that. And then the recovery tackle from Conte, obviously recovering from us being absolutely all over the place. And he saw red, and from that moment, it was just going to be one-way traffic, wasn't it? But there was a reaction from Villa, wasn't it? There was tackles going in. There was a togetherness. There seemed like we was a little bit more of a unit. Which again, with 11 players on the pitch, if I'm looking at that, that's what I want to see from 11 players from the first whistle. Not to be getting the reaction to being down to 10 men, and then we start trying to fight for each other. So obviously Mings comes back on the pitch. After that as well, and he's just got his place back in that team now, hasn't he, because he's going to start the next game. A very difficult decision, which I think a lot of fans were perplexed with, was Jacob Ramsey going off and Ashley Young coming in. I think we all said at the start of the season, squad depth is great. Ashley Young can play left back, right back, left wing, right wing, but one thing he cannot play is central midfield, and I think that was a pretty poor decision for me. And I kind of get it. I kind of get that managers want to protect their youth players, so to bring on Carney in that situation, it's one of them, isn't it? If we're flying, you've got no hesitation to bring Carney on, like what was happening at the start of the season. He was in and around the first team. He made his start against, I think it was it Brentford, but he's got no faith to put him in now. In a situation where we're struggling, and I think that again is a little bit of a concern for me. If he's good enough, put him in, let him play. He can't be no worse off than what we've got. So for me, I don't like seeing Ashley Young as a central midfielder. It didn't work. I thought maybe he could have brought on Twanzebe and put Twanzebe sitting in front of the back four and maybe push Nakamba a little bit, obviously play them as a two, a little bit like Souček and Rice, but we didn't do that either. So just all in all, very disappointed. It's hard to see where we go from here. I'm going to Southampton, and I think a lot of fans are saying that that's his last game. For me, I don't see what changes from the start of West Ham to the start of Southampton. If he can't get his players up for that match against West Ham, you know, that we started poorly, a lack of intensity from the start. I don't know what's going to happen against Southampton. You know, it's like Ward-Prowse is just going to turn into prime Pirlo, isn't he? Obviously, we wanted him in the summer, so he's going to have an absolute brilliant game. They're coming off the back of a good win against Watford, so I'm perplexed. I don't see where we go from here. Is it a case of we just stick in and try and get a result? You look at managers like Moyes, who were under pressure, weren't they? Potter was under pressure last season, but fair play to him. All season he stuck to his guns of the system that he was playing. And now look at them, absolutely flying. Their brand of football is sensational. Do you know what I mean? They're playing really good football. Arteta has been in probably the most toxic job in football, but he's managed to turn it around and get them playing. So if you do stick in there and we do get a win, then obviously it can turn around. But it's just as a football fan, as a fan, you're looking at it now thinking week on week, we've got to talk about Villa and think of how we can turn it around, and you don't see it, do you? That's the problem. I struggle to see how we're going to turn this around, and I'm sorry for being negative. It's so unlike me. I'm the most optimistic Villa fan going. I'm so positive, but even I can't see how we're going to turn this around. So I asked the fans to give us some thoughts on how they feel like the game went and just their general vibe. So I think it's good to get opinions of fans that are just not just on this podcast as well. So Lee Aston has put, I'll wish him well when he's replaced soon by the owners, but clearly you can see Smith without Grealish and JT sorting out the defence isn't good enough. Looks like he's lost the dressing room to me. I just feel with that, it's like he's lost the confidence of the players. The players' confidence has gone. There isn't any confidence. So I do feel like they are playing for him at times, but you know, it's the message that comes out from the start. If you got me in that dressing room, I'll tell you now, I could motivate them players. Name me, any Villa fan could give a talking to them players before a game and could motivate them. So that's what it needs. It needs motivation, and I think we're not getting it. avfc UK, Ming's decision to be dropped, good or bad? I don't know with that. I just think brave call from Dino to drop him, fair enough, but he hasn't got the right call, has it? Because he's back straight in the squad anyway. So you know what he's saying. It's taught him a lesson. It's made him think about himself. Okay, yes, let's get a reaction. Southampton put in a performance in. Free Sanson has put terrible. Need I say more? If Sanson has got just an illness, for me, he's got to be straight. He's got to be in that team on Friday night. Obviously, we're lacking Ramsey if he's injured. So Sanson got to be in there. We've got to see what he's all about. Ben has put, Smith has to win at Southampton or it's time for the chop. I think, unfortunately, the lack of game plan was obvious and the purchase of players who aren't not physically big enough really showed yesterday. Again, the whole fan base called it in the summer. We need a CDM, we need a central midfielder. We didn't get one, and look where we're struggling. I think as fans, you can come across as fans from the outset, and pundits and journalists and managers and players will look at fans and think they ain't got a clue what they're on about. They do not know what they are on about. But you know, the whole fan base knew we need a central midfielder. We watch this football team week in, week out. We're not stupid. We know what players need to come into a football club to make us better. Look at West Ham. Their solid base, their formation is based around Souček and Declan Rice being solid inner two, which lay off to their creative players. What are we doing is we've brought in players such as Buendia, Bailey, Watkins, but without a foundation and a base to give them the ball. So what ends up happening is it comes back and we don't have a foothold in a game. It's like we're asked to win 50-50s all the time and we're not winning them. And when you don't win them, you get put under pressure. So the territory, you're on the back foot. If we had a central midfielder in there that could do the job of a Declan Rice and a Souček, we'd be a brilliant football team. But until we get that area right, I'm sorry, that's where I feel like we're going to struggle each game. Every Villa fan, it's like, who plays in the centre of midfield? And that's the big question, isn't it? So it always comes back to that. Floody has put, I think the urgency wasn't there until the red card. Only criticism of Smith would Young, who isn't a CM. When we have Carney on the bench, a lot of factors went against us. One being the ref guessing, absolute shocker he was. Way too quick to blow up against us. Big month ahead up the Villa. He was too quick to blow when El Ghazi had the ball. And then this is the beauty of football. So Sweeney, West Ham. So Villa fans, this is a West Ham fan looking at our football club, looking at what's going on at Aston Villa. So here's thoughts from the outside looking in. You've lost not just your best player, but someone that was integral to the club as a whole. Replaced him with a few new players that need time. Smith is overseeing it, but equally, who would you get in? Give him time, not going down, so building this season. So again, like, they're looking at it from the outset of that we've lost our best player. It's going to take time. Give Smith time, and that we're building. So Villa fans, I'm perplexed here at times. I literally don't know what to say. Ryan Craddock, Matty Cash, class yet again. Midfield non-existent with nothing balls over the top to an isolated Watkins. Young substitution was only positive was the Watkins goal. Lewis put thoughts on Young being subbed for Jacob Ramsey instead of Carney. Yeah, I've gone over it. I just think it's random, but it's just a player putting in a guy with experience to try and level and keep us solid, but you know, it's not great. Justin has put feeling pretty down about the current situation, to be honest, after the last 3 years we've had with Dino. I don't want it to end like this. With the international break fast approaching, I now fear that we might think it's time for a change, and if we don't win against Southampton on Friday night, results have been poor recently. It could now be now or never for him this week. Come on, Dino, pull this one out the bag. And then let's have one more. I think Ryan's put something in there. He's put, it feels like the wheels are coming off and it's all unravelling for Dino. Hope he can turn this around. But even I'm starting to question whether he's the man to take us to the next level. And I love Dino. Thoughts, fans stuck with the team yesterday but lose on Friday and the international break is going to be very uncomfortable. Yes, we all know if you lose the away fans, that's the start of a fan base turning on their manager, and I think Southampton away is absolutely massive. It's crucial. So let's leave it there. I'm sorry I've had a rant. I'm sorry I'm being really negative, but I just can't paper over the cracks, and this is a fan channel, so we are Aston Villa fans that go week in, week out. We love this football club and we just want the best for this football club, and as a fan, when you start playing like this and you have to go and watch it and travel up and down the country, I mean, I created this podcast, do you know what I mean? So that I can't shy away from it. I have to go and do a fan cam yesterday in the rain after a 4-1 loss. Absolutely shocking. It's not nice, but you've just got to front it up and do it. Thanks to all the fans that are sticking with us, sticking with this channel. showing faith and supporting us as a channel. You know, your support is huge, and I love doing it. And I think we've been on a bit of a journey with this podcast. You know, when we first started it, we was in lockdown, and we survived after that 10 games. And we had a brilliant season last season, and I think it's just sort of like unraveling now, isn't it? It's getting worse and worse, but hopefully we can pick up and get a win from somewhere. But yeah, drop your thoughts. Cheers for the support. Up the Villa. See you soon.